guys, this video is all going to be about notes on the guitar. So if you're a beginner, this is all about the all the notes that there are in music and how to find where those are on the guitar. So when you're looking for a note, you know how to find it. Maybe you've been playing for a few years but you've been working off tabs and somebody says, hey, play me an A, and you don't know where to find that. This video is for you too, so let's get started. So the first thing before we go to the instruments is to just know what the notes in music are and how they work together, and then we'll go and look at the where they fit on the guitar neck. We'll look in this section at also how they fit on the keyboard, just so you can see things like this B and C here, but we'll get to that shortly. So I've done this as a circle, and the reason I've done that is because this is ongoing. Once you get round here, you just start again and keep going round and round. So it's basically an alphabet that only goes up to G, but in between the notes you have sharps and flats. So a sharp is this little hashtag symbol here, and flat is a little B with a pointy bottom on it. Cool. And what they mean is sharpening a note is moving up what's called a semitone. So if we look at our keyboard down here, and let's look at the D, which fits between these two black keys. So on a keyboard, the black keys are the sharps and flats. So if I take the note D and I sharpen it by a semitone, I get this black note here, and that is D sharp. Okay. If I was to flatten it, then I would come down a semitone, and that would be D flat. Okay, so those notes also have other names, because this key here, this is my C. So if I sharpen my C, I get C sharp. Okay, so that is the same note. It can just be called two different things. And which one of those it's called, we'll learn about later on, but that's based on which key it is in and which key signature it has, and whether that contains sharps or flats. So in any given song you should only see sharps or flats, not both in the same song. But in the circle I've just drawn a mixture of both, but some of the more common ones you see, although I'm finding more and more that it's more common to see a lot of sharps rather than a lot of flats. But it's just so you understand that that note can be called two different things, and yeah, it doesn't really matter at this stage what you call them, just as long as we have an understanding of that. So you'll notice on here that there's two white keys here that don't have a sharp or flat in between, and there's two white keys here that don't have a sharp or flat in between. Now those notes, these ones here, are B and C. So you'll see there I haven't written a sharp or flat in between, and these ones here are E and F. Okay, no sharp or flat in between those. Everything else has a sharp or flat in between it. So you'll commonly see when you're learning music stuff starting at C because of the whole middle C thing, but I've started this at A just to make it a bit more logical. So we just go A, B flat, which can also be called A sharp, B, C, C sharp, or D flat, it can also be called, D, E flat, which can also be called D sharp, E, F, no sharp or flat there, F sharp, also called G flat, G, G sharp, also called A flat, and then back to A, and so on and so forth. So that carries on round. Cool, so those are all the notes that are in music. There isn't a note in music that can be called anything else, unless you're in an odd country where they do music theory differently, but there's a good chance that you're not. I think there are some countries that include like an H or something like that, but that's very, very rare. Cool, so that's all our notes. We've had a quick look at how they fit on here. I always use the D as a reference for a keyboard because it's between the two the 2 black notes, the other groups are all 3s. So it's always an easy one to find. You have your B and C, E and F, either side, they're easy to find, and then you just go down from there. So that would be A. So if we went through, we go A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Cool, and then so on and so forth. You'd carry on down the keyboard. What we'll look at now is how these fit onto the guitar. So first thing we need to know is what our open strings are. So we'll cover bass and guitar at the same time here, because these top 4 strings are the same as the 4 strings you'll find on a bass guitar. Cool, so just to cover the same thing at the same time instead of doing everything twice, we're doing it all in one video. So open strings, starting from the top string, we'll call it the top string for now. Some people prefer to call that the top string because it's the higher note, but we'll just be normal for the moment and call the one that's on top the top string. Cool. When you come to tuning your guitar, we'll do a video on that shortly. This is actually the 6th string. Okay, so the first string is here, 1, and they're numbered upwards. Crazy, I know, but that's just the way it is. Cool. So E on the top, A, D, G, B, E. E, A, D, G, B, E. Cool. So you're going to need to remember that one. Easy enough to do. You can make up one of those little things. What do you call them? Where the first, it's like the first letter of each word. Eric always goes down backwards every day. I don't know. Like, you can make something up to remember it if you want to, but yeah, it's easy enough to remember. Yeah, just E, A, D, G, B, E. Cool, so that's our starting point. Now on the bass, just quickly, you just have the top 4 of those. So E, A, D, G. Cool. So obviously a lower octave, but all the notes are going to be the same. Cool. So all we do is we just looked at our note circle. So to find out what all these are, all you do is you start wherever in the circle the open string starts. So in this case it's an E. So my next one in my circle is an F. Remember, there's no sharp or flat, so that's my first fret. My second fret there is going to be F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, E flat, E. I'm trying to remember which ones I wrote in big letters on the circle. Cool, so by the time we get to that 12th fret there, where you'll find double dots on most guitars, everything starts again. So that's the same as my open string, but an octave higher. Cool, so it just starts again. F, F sharp, G, and so on and so forth. Some guitars will go up to 24 frets and you'll get 2 full octaves all the way up. And then next string, same thing, we just start at A, B flat, B, C, remember no sharp or flat between B and C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, so on and so forth for every string. Same on the bass. So the ones you want to concentrate on memorizing are these top 2 strings, because they're the ones, when we come to doing bar chords, that's where you're going to base all your notes off those top 2 strings. And it's easier to find the 3rd string down by doing octave patterns, which we'll look at when we do scales. Cool, so on the bass, same deal, concentrate on these top 2 strings. So first fret, F, F sharp, G, A, G sharp, A, and so on and so forth. So you'll notice that guitars have dots on them. Okay, so those are really reference points. So what you want to do is you want to, the best way to do this is to actually draw the neck of the guitar or the bass up to the 12th fret. just draw it out on a piece of paper and then write in what all of these are, and you'll start seeing that octave pattern. You'll see the notes that are the same as each other. And what you want to do is concentrate on these top two strings, and especially learn where these dots are. So your G, C, A, D, B, E. These ones go off because that's your B, C, E, F there. So you've got C sharp and F sharp. And learn that first fret as well, F and B flat. Because once you know those reference points, then you can find everything from there. So I know my third fret is G, so straight away I know if I want G sharp, it's just the next fret up. Cool, I know my first fret is F, so I want F sharp, next fret up. If I want a B flat, I know this is a B, so I'll just come back one. Cool, I also know my first fret on my A string is B flat. Cool, so that's how to find it on a bass or on a guitar. Cool, so we'll do another video also on how to fret those notes as you play them, yeah, and some other exercises and stuff to get you going.